Hi, I'm Gary White for Central Kentucky Television. I'm here with Marion County School Superintendent Delora Schlosser for our monthly Ask the Superintendent segment here on Central Kentucky Television. And as we're recording this, it's April. We just got back from spring break for Marion County. So you had a good spring break?
We did.
The weather this past weekend was fabulous for an end of the spring
absolutely.
break. Yes,
Yep.
absolutely.
Nice way to end.
So now, as we're almost coming up to the middle of April, so it's getting close to the end of school, about 6 weeks or so.
We actually have 32 days of instruction remaining. So
fantastic. So what is going to actually be the last day for students, and when is graduation going to be?
the last day for students will be Wednesday, May the 27th, and graduation will be Friday, May the 29th at 7 o'clock at Marion County High School.
Great. So we got out before, well, no, I guess Memorial Day is
Memorial Day is on the Monday, and I would like to say to let viewers know is that we will go to school on Election Day on May the 19th. That's normally not been an option, but we've actually, thanks to Chad Mattingly, we've worked to make sure the polls aren't in the school so we can do that. And that'll put us out. We'll have Memorial Day on Monday, and then students will attend on Tuesday and Wednesday. Closing day for teachers and staff will be that Thursday, and then graduation will be Friday. Also want viewers to know that we have worked to make sure that our promotion ceremonies do not conflict with one another, or for example, St. Charles and West Marion's promotion ceremonies won't be at the same time, so that parents can attend all those ceremonies.
Okay, good. So we'll have all different kinds.
Yes.
Is there a calendar on the website that they can find those dates, or do they have to contact each individual school?
Each individual school should have that on their website, and that's a good idea. We can actually start putting those dates out now that all of those have been finalized. We've actually been, you still have to wonder, we did go home early I think a couple Fridays ago because of the water, so things still happen.
Yeah, hopefully we won't have any of those issues.
I hope not either.
So the end of school will be in May. We have that coming up. We also want to talk about, at your last meeting, and you've been talking about for a while, you're doing some renovations as well at one of your facilities here at Lebanon Middle School.
Right.
Are you going to hopefully get that completed over this summer?
Yes,
or what's
sir.
the game plan there?
The plan for that is our district we're working to finalize our contract for guaranteed energy savings. And what we're hoping for and plan to have is energy savings to help us actually pay for the project. I've talked quite a bit about the fact that we have to have a new roof at Lebanon Middle and new HVAC system. And with the guaranteed energy savings, what will happen is that actually every school will receive some type of renovation, which could be as simple as changing the lights to LED, which are a lot more energy efficient, to maybe a different kind of hot water heater that saves money. But the most extensive renovation will be at Lebanon Middle, and they will be receiving new heat and air system, a new roof. The company plans to be there the Monday after we get out of school, and from there they do not foresee any issue in us getting into our schools at our normal time, which is that first full week in August. So I think we have, it'll just be here before we know it. But
that's right. It's only 2 full months then, because it'll be June 1st when they're starting, I guess, right?
Yes, it will.
So. All right. And how will that... So that will help with financials going forward then, if it's saving monies with energy, right?
Right, yes. And, it's all, as the electricity companies tell us, it's not about that we're not going to, for the world as a whole, we're going to need electricity, but it's about what's the demand. So we're looking at just trying to find ways to save energy, turning the lights off, LED lights, more energy efficient heat and air systems. Just trying to work on our consumption of electricity, I think, is going to be very important. So,
at our last talk too, we touched briefly at, I think, there's been some changes to the GED program, and I spoke with John Sparrow, who does a lot of that with the continuing education, adult education here, but that kind of impacts the school system a little bit as well. Can you tell us a little about the changes there?
Well, I think the first thing people would want to know is that the GED test did change, and it changed to the new Common Core standards, which is what our kids are actually using in our classrooms now. And so with those new changes, the test has become more difficult. The one thing I think the viewers should know as well is that also the age that students can drop out has changed as well. And in previous years at age 16, if something happened and a parent decided to sign their child out before they were 18, they could do that at age 16. That's no longer the case. Marion County has adopted a policy that we, until age of 18, that no one can drop out, and obviously we don't want anybody to drop out. Our mission is that every child graduate college and career ready. So there were cases where people would say, you know, I want to drop out, I'm going to take my GED. And I think what people need to understand is we'd much rather you stay with us, get your education here, maybe take some college classes, dual credit courses at the high school, maybe take some ATC classes, you know, to go out and be able to work in the factories around our community. And that the same content you're learning in the school with a teacher one-on-one going to be the exact same content that's on that GED course.
So now, that was this year that it's actually, so it's in effect currently,
Yes.
right? That they have to be 18.
It'll start this coming year.
Okay.
At the beginning of the 15-16 school year.
Okay. So nobody under 18 then can drop out and just
Exactly.
go do the GED or anything.
Right.
Is there a stipulation with a parent's signature or just
No.
nobody in general at all?
No.
And that is something that the state voted on and passed, correct? And I
Yes.
believe that Marion County was one of the
We were one of the first. And
to sign on to hopefully get
Yes.
that bill passed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was something that was supported by many of the different school systems. So some people are saying that that could potentially lead to an issue with if somebody doesn't want to be in school, if they are behavioral issues or stuff of that nature. What's your feeling on that aspect of it?
I think the most important thing is that we provide classrooms where students are engaged and they find they see the reality of what's going on. Why is it important? You know, rigor and relevance in relationships. I just think that's something that we should be working on every single day. I don't foresee it as a problem. I think education is the one thing that no one can take away from anybody. I really believe in education, and you know, for our children that we have in school, I mean, ultimately they will be a community member and be a citizen, and the most important thing we can do for them is to make sure they get a good education. So I'm excited about the change. I want to see every child graduate college and career ready.
And something that too, last time you mentioned that now they can't graduate before, or they can't leave school before 18, but actually there's a stipulation that if they were to stay, you have to continue to educate them until they're 21. Is that right?
Yes, sir. That is correct. Actually, all public schools are required to educate students until age 21. So, and in some cases, that if that's what
If
we
they
need to
don't
do-
graduate prior.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because sometimes things happen, life happens, and maybe they maybe get a little bit behind. Maybe there's something that goes on, and they have to sit out a little. You know, maybe some sickness, all kinds of different things. But ultimately, we want the kids to graduate, and if they need to stay till they're 21, then we're gonna try our best to take good care of them.
Now, too, it was recently announced that you were going to have and have actually met on some forums for public comment from the viewers out there, the people in our community, on two different issues. And one is on the public comment issue at meetings to possibly adjust the stipulations you have for that, as well as on drug testing for staff, correct? Teachers and staff, or is that all included?
All staff.
Because currently there's drug testing for the students, correct?
Yes.
Is it only students at the high school?
It's only students at the high school who participate in extracurricular activities if they drive or play a sport. And extracurricular does include any kind of clubs.
Right, so that's actually reaching the wide majority of students. And a portion of the funding for that does come from our Marion County Heartland Safe Community Coalition as well, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So what's being discussed then for how this come about with the staff and teachers?
We've been, like you said, we've been talking about this for quite a while, and the board actually formed the committee, so they are open to the public. They're advertised. We made sure they were on the radio. we put that out through email, so we felt like that we let people know they were invited and everybody was open. There's been one meeting. I'm not on either committee. The committees will meet and then make a recommendation to the board. The first of both meetings was just an orientation meeting. Who's on the committee? What's the purpose? The agenda was advertised. And then obviously next steps. I would anticipate that sometime this summer both of the committees will make a recommendation to the board about possible changes. Ultimately the committee makes a recommendation and then the board actually will act on that. They could support what the committee has, they could tweak what they said. It just depends on what they believe the next steps are to address the concerns. I think with the staff drug testing, currently our bus drivers are all drug tested.
Right.
Obviously, for obvious reasons, for their CDL license.
Is that a state? Yeah, I
Yes.
believe yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And we do have, I'm not sure that folks know this, but Marion County Board of Education does have a suspicion drug testing policy. So in other words, if a supervisor suspects that someone is under the influence, you can ask for a drug test or a breathalyzer or something like that. So we do have this. This would be a case where maybe randomly staff are drug tested. One of the things a couple years ago when we had our student drug testing committee together, it was brought up that if students are going to be drug tested, then why aren't staff drug tested? So we're not having any issues, so I don't want anybody to think that that's the reason the board brought this forward. It was just one of those things that had been brought up, that if the students are going to be drug tested, then shouldn't we also have some kind of random sample of staff as well? So I'm not real sure, how that'll go or where that'll be. I know they'll just be researching and looking into that.
So, excuse me, so the monies that was provided by the Marion County Safe Community Coalitions, that's not, if you do go along with the staff, it would be actually coming out of the budget?
It would be coming out of the general fund, and I also would like to say is that, they've been very generous in giving that money, but actually that does not support all of the student drug testing.
It's about $5,000.
Right. And so our Board of Education ends up paying for about $25, they actually put in about $25 more $100. So, and if it is something they decide, there's a lot of procedural things that will have to be worked out. I think the first question is, is that something they want to pursue? I know the other committee that you were talking about was public comment, and I think that was actually, maybe I saw something in the newspaper or maybe on the website. Stephen Legge had maybe talked to Kaylin Reed about the process of that. Some folks are on that committee. Daniel Beams is the chairperson of that committee, and they are basically looking at our policy and what other policies around the state does. So again, they'll make a recommendation and then the board will act on it from there. So.
And if you're interested in being a part of either one of them, you can contact the Board of Education and put your opinion in there as well.
Absolutely.
Also, you've been having meetings as well on the facility plan, and that's something you have to do every 4 years, you were saying?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's just something that each district does. You actually put all your, we go through and we actually hire an architect, and they go through and they conduct basically a facilities check, and they find out, what's in compliance, what's not in compliance, what would it take to get the building in compliance, and it ends up being a very large amount of money that's needed to get all of our buildings in compliance. I think Marion County has great facilities. We've got wonderful, we do a good job of maintaining our facilities, but there are schools around us that are school systems that have new schools, and I guess the last new school that was built here was Lebanon Middle School, and it's 20 years old. Mm-hmm. So I know that I've heard some people even talk about that West Marion, is a new school, and it's been a while since we've gotten a new school. So yeah. I'm not sure if that'll happen anytime in the near future, but schools have needs, and you've got to put it on the plan. So
when you're talking about compliance, is that compliance with the laws of like the state and stuff of that nature?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Because if you're going to do anything to your facilities, the Department of Education has to agree that that's a need. And it's not just that the board actually decides what is a need. We have a large number of people on our district's facilities planning. I serve on the committee, but I'm not a voting member. Mr. Spalding, our Director of Facilities, is on the committee, but he's not a voting member. And so these members that do vote consist of teachers, parents, and principals, and community members. A large panel, very representative of the district, and so they look at all the needs, of the unmet needs, and then they will determine what is a priority. Mm-hmm. For example, there may be something, our track needs to be resurfaced, but you also need classrooms, let's say at Calvary, and they'll rank order all the needs around the district to determine, so that the board will use that plan to make their
determination of what's
mm-hmm.
to do next.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's only so much money that you can use for
exactly.
everything.
and it's only, like you said, you talked about our budget, there's only certain sections of our budget we can use on that. Now, you can take money out of the general fund, but generally when you do that, you're taking away from what's going on in the classroom. So,
right. So, and again, they are meetings that are open for people to
absolutely.
come, and if they have a point of view
mm-hmm.
to structure with that as well. So again, I've been talking with Marion County School Superintendent Delora Schlosser with our Ask the Superintendent segment here on Central Kentucky Television. Last day of schools, again, is May 27th.
Wednesday
the 27th, and then graduation will be on the 29th at Marion County High School. And we'll hopefully be back in May and have some great end of the year wrap-up stuff, right?
That sounds good to me.
Right. Well, thank you very much. It's been Gary White for Central Kentucky Television.